Nepali tourism began in about the 1960s, and we saw some very high-end tourists coming into Nepal, the mystical Shangri-La part of it. And it was so interesting that even Air India, when it started its flights from New York, started to, put pictures of Nepal, sort of for its flights coming in in its brochures coming in from New York. So after that, we had a more of the, sort of what we call it the backpackers coming in the 70s, the hippies, and then in the 90s, the early 90s, we saw a spurt of tourism that led to the Visit Nepal year, 1998. But unfortunately, 10 years of insurgency between 1996 to 2006, coupled with a lot of other factors, saw the decline. Be it the Indian Airlines hijack in 1999, which brought in a lot of negative publicity, and then you had the Royal Massacre in 2001 that also brought Nepal to a negative, sort of publicity. So those are the reasons that led to the decline. And 2011 Nepal Tourism year basically is an effort for Nepal to reposition itself in the global tourism market to see the future of tourism. When we come to looking at Nepal's tourism future, it is to look at more from the perspective of marketing it to the neighbors. PATA statistics state that China and India are going to have about 100 million and 50 million tourists every year by 2020, which means there's 150 million tourists, from the two countries coming into Nepal. But potentially that can come into Nepal. Even if 1% of them come in, then we are talking about 1.5 million people. So there is a tremendous potential we see. So it is not, Nepal doesn't need to really spend too much of effort in attracting the European or the American or sort of other tourists. But if it can sell, especially to India, I think that's where the market is. Because if you look at the open boundaries and about 250 to 300 million Indians from Uttaranchal to Assam, so that's a great market. I mean, if you look at from Patna, you can get to Kathmandu in about a 10 hours drive. So as the northern India is going to get affluent, people are not going to drive to Bangalore or to south. They will find it much more easier to come to Nepal. And as flight connectivity improves, if you look at within a 1 hour flying distance, there are about more than 20 cities in India that has a population of more than 20-25 lakhs. So these are sort of the great indicators that show that there is great potential for tourism in Nepal. And why would people come here? It is also to look at what you can do within a short span of time. With just a stretch of 200 kilometers, you can actually within a single day, if you're if you fly like a bird, you can just go in from altitudes of 20,000 feet plus to the lush green Tarai of Chitwan, and take a rest in the evening there in one of the jungle lodges. So it's very difficult to find a place where within a 1 hour's flying distance you can do so much within a short span of time. And I think that's where Nepal needs to leverage itself. And having had a lot of international tourists for the past 4 decades, Nepal has the ability to service tourists in terms of, compared to a lot of other tourist destinations, a good level of English is spoken here. As I talk about a lot, the Nepali smile is a big thing in the hospitality industry, because they look friendly, they are polite, and they go that extra mile to take care of people. So that's where those are some of the important things that position Nepal into sort of the tourism potential for the future.